I'm Leslie Wagoner from the La Crosse Area League of Women Voters. This recording project is being done in partnership with 3 other nonpartisan organizations: the La Crosse Area Chamber of Commerce, the La Crosse Area Development Corporation, and UWL's Department of Political Science and Public Administration. Together, our Civic Engagement Coalition seeks to encourage voter interest and participation in the upcoming mayoral election. And we also want to give La Crosse voters the opportunity to learn about each candidate and their views on local issues impacting our community. The format is an informal one-on-one Q&A session between each candidate and Chamber CEO Beth Franklin. Each candidate will be asked the same questions in the same order. We developed the questions to cover a range of topics and have asked the candidates to keep their answers concise so we can cover as many as time allows. They have not received the questions in advance, and candidate responses will not be edited for content. At the end, you'll find more information about election dates and where you can check on your voter registration and what's on your ballot. Your vote is your power, and it takes all of us exercising that power to make democracy work. Thank you for watching.
It is my pleasure to welcome Ellie Mcloone, who is running for the next mayor of the city of La Crosse. Thank you for joining us today for this candidate conversation. So let's start. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivates you to run for the mayor of the city of La Crosse.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I appreciate it. And what motivates me to run for the mayor of La Crosse? Well, I love the city. I grew up in the city, born and raised. I'm actually 5th generation in the city, so have got a lot of history from family members as to how the city has progressed over the years. And as a real estate agent, I see the untapped potential as well in La Crosse for just the beauty that we have in this area and luring young families and adults to this area to enjoy that as well. The other aspect I looked at was the common sense decisions that have not been made recently in our government, and I want to address that. I think that my business and leadership experience will help bringing a different angle to evaluate programs that are in effect or things that are on the docket to be considered, and look at how that's going to affect the city, taxpayers, and the population growth that we're looking at doing. I know based on the other people running for the mayor position, they've all been involved in either government or non-for-profit. So I think coming in with a new look on the operational aspect of the city of La Crosse and not being a politician will be something new for the city, and hopefully will benefit everyone as a whole to take an approach of, do we need this or do we want this?
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So first question, if elected, what are your top 3 priorities for your first term as the mayor of the city of La Crosse?
So the 3 priorities that I have, one, which I mentioned in my announcement, was working on getting a state-funded detox and counseling center on the west side of the state. I think that's a vital component with the homeless situation that we have, because a lot of the homeless now tend to get in this situation based on drug and mental health issues. So I think that would be a large piece of the pie, and then combined with our other programs that we have in the city that will help to reduce the homelessness. So those 2 combined are 1 in effect. Also, our police staff is down by approximately 12 officers. And I feel that that's very important for our safety. We've seen a rise in crime. We just had 3 shootings over the weekend. So it's very important that we get full staff and we retain those officers to provide the safety that the city's looking for. And thirdly, the housing situation is an issue in La Crosse. With my expertise in real estate, I think that will help, and look at ways that we can be creative. There are several things. The accessible home dwelling is a new option that the city has added. But I think looking at creative ways of remodeling some buildings that we have that could assist in that as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
What are some current city initiatives or policies that you want to support and further?
There are several that are currently in operation right now. We've got the River Edge development, River District development, which is wonderful. We're also looking at the bike lanes. I think that bike lanes are great for transportation and bringing people to the city center as well. We do have to look at the common sense application of that and talk to the businesses and see how that affects them. Likewise with the parking that's going to be restricted from that. And I know the one that's on 2nd Street, that has also limited the availability of safe drop-off in front of the lacrosse center. Fabulous to have those and create activities for families and people that use that mode of transportation. But it is important, again, to look at how it impacts everyone in the city.
Yeah, thank you. How can the city of La Crosse increase its appeal as a place to work, live, or raise a family? In other words, how do you want to attract more residents to La Crosse and fewer commuters coming into La Crosse?
We have such a beautiful area. I loved growing up here. There's so many activities. I remember as a child, we used to hike up on the bluff all the time, and now all those trails are actually updated and beautiful for families and visitors to experience. We have to look at the fact that the hospital and the universities are a big draw. Which is fabulous, but we also need to look at the business and manufacturing as well. I think that adding a second airline to the city will help because that tends to be a negative, I know, for the hospital, for people wanting to come here and look and then being able to have travel. So we have to look at trying to work to make the city appealing for everyone and provide the services needed so that they can, work and stay within our community versus going elsewhere. Working with affordable housing for elderly as well, so that they can make a transition from their home into a facility that's going to aid and assist them. And that will as well open up housing for additional families. But I think that looking at the basis of drawing businesses here to La Crosse, that will be a good benchmark to complement the universities and the hospital facilities.
Okay, thank you. The current mayor and city council have discussed adding a city administrator position and then postponed the issue for further study. What is your view on the city of La Crosse adding a city administrator position?
I'm not opposed to it, but I think that the city council and the mayor need to explain every aspect of it with the voters, and it has to be very transparent. I think that they also have to look at having a recruiter evaluate the people that would be responsible, the city administrator per se, have a recruiter evaluate to get the top 3 candidates for the position. I think it would be beneficial to have somebody reviewing budgetary department heads that would be hiring and things of that nature, looking at federal funding. It is a way to save taxpayer money, but it has to be a non-political position. I also feel that it should be a referendum for the city to take a look at because this is a large capital expense. There also should be mechanisms that provide the city administrator with incentives. So if they achieve different thresholds, then they get those commissions, incentives, bonuses, whatever the case may be. There also should be a situation within the contract that if it's not working out for the city, this person could be relieved of their duty.
Yep, thank you. With the city of La Crosse being the county seat for La Crosse County and neighbors with several other cities like Onalaska, Holmen, and West Salem, how do you view the mayor's role when it comes to intergovernmental cooperation and working with neighboring communities and their municipalities?
Well, that's a vital for any city. Just like in a business, you have to work with all the department heads or even competitors so that you understand the goal and complement each other. But yes, definitely working with the city. We are a small community within the Cooley region, and it's not, like 20 miles, 50 miles away from someone. So a lot of the people that live in these outlying areas come to La Crosse as well and work in our city. So it is very important that we combine forces and work together for the sake of climate actions, if there's any type of natural disasters, looking at expansion that we were talking about, complementing business expansion, work together for other housing as well. La Crosse does have its limitations with, the natural boundaries that we have. So we have to take that in consideration and work with our neighbors to achieve, a good environment for everyone to live and work. That also, works well too with the homeless situation to, bounce ideas off of other communities, and maybe they have resources available as well that could possibly help everyone as a whole.
Good. What do you see as the strengths and challenges of our local business environment, and what opportunities exist to support local business?
I see, as far as what we've experienced now, a lot of big box stores leaving. So as a city, we have to look at ways to lure businesses to the La Crosse area, and that will also help with the tax bases. We first need to talk with the current businesses to see what's been successful for them, what are things that the city has done to assist them, and build upon those. I think that working with our core businesses right now is an important aspect in the solution to draw more industries to La Crosse. It's also interesting as well to possibly look at small businesses that are in other areas and see if they would have interest in opening up a second location in the La Crosse environment. So there's a lot of different ideas that can be generated just from conversation with current business and restaurant owners. And I think that's a way to start. And also look at, they're currently evaluating now the zoning and codes. So that could help to ease businesses coming into the city as well, which is another important aspect to aid in that growth.
Yep, good. How would you approach relationship building between the mayor, common council, and city department heads?
Well, I think, first of all, when and if I become mayor, I would like to meet with all the department heads to understand their goals and business plan for within their departments. And I think that's important to have that open door communication. We're all working for the same benefit, the city of La Crosse. We all love the city, otherwise we wouldn't be involved in trying to better the city. So I think everyone has to put personal issues aside and work for the greater good of our population and for the future, the children and the future growth of the city. Everyone's going to have their own decisions and, wants. So you just have to come to a compromise to see for the greater good and the benefit of everyone for decisions that may be looked at or, brought about to be utilized. So I think that is an important aspect, just to have that open door communication and be flexible.
Mm-hmm. Good. So in one of your previous answers, you had mentioned the higher education partners. So this question is in that vein. As mayor, how do you envision yourself collaborating with the higher education institutions in La Crosse?
Well, I think they are important factors as far as promoting our city and pulling, students and professors and visitors to come and look at our city. The educational aspect that we have here is wonderful because they work jointly with businesses in the area as well. And there's a lot of commingling, I should say, between the universities, which is wonderful. So I think that needs to continue, and just to also be a good patron of the city as far as activities that we work together on and help to, increase the growth of the population too. I know that the population for the students has gone down, and I would hope that, reducing the online classes and having the population come to the campus would be a helpful aspect of that as well. But you know, the UWL started as the La Crosse City College, and it's grown over the years to the size that it is right now. Likewise with the Technical College and the Viterbo College. So I think that the city has partnered well with all of them, and that's just a testament of the working relationship that the city's had with them over the years.
Good. Thank you. So the next question, you addressed housing as one of your priorities. So again, in the same vein, so the question is, do you think there's a housing crisis in La Crosse? And as mayor, what would be your priorities with the issue of housing?
Mm-hmm. Well, and as I mentioned, there are programs currently right now being constructed and some that are for future development. One area that really needs to be addressed are the floodplains on the north side. There's currently 1,700 homes that are in the floodplain. I know that there is a study underway by FEMA to reevaluate those, and it's very imperative that our state and federal representatives push to get these evaluations done, the surveys reevaluated so these homes can be removed, because that has been a sticking point for a lot of development or expansion. Then we also have several scaled apartment rates coming, which is wonderful, and that will ease some of the housing. But yes, they estimate in that study, and I was on a subgroup within the housing evaluation, that there's about 230 homes that are in needed coming in the future. The population of La Crosse since the mid-1940s has been approximately 50 to 53,000. So it really hasn't fluctuated that much, but I think the idea or the design of housing has changed. So that's why the apartments and condos and things of that nature have become more of an interest for people. And I think that the downtown area has really supplied quite a few, but the key is that they have to have the scaled, affordable rent structure. So I think we're moving in that correct direction, and with the removal of those homes from the flood area, that will also be another area that will assist in that goal.
Okay. Thank you. Last question. What is your understanding of neighborhood associations and their role in the city?
Well, I'm actually on the Bluffside Neighborhood Association, so I'm very familiar with that. We as a board bring information to our city our neighborhood residents, and they also bring issues to us that we can then bring to our city council. Not only on a political aspect or like a community service aspect, we also work with socialization. So we have our annual park, we also do the night out program, and then we also work to keep our little nook of La Crosse up to date via, our park that we have there, Bluffside Park. We have a tennis court, so we work to maintain that and keep that in operational, for everyone to utilize, because it's open to anyone in La Crosse. But it's really more of a communication aspect so that a local resident doesn't feel out of touch with, the city government. So we're kind of like a mediary between that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we are at the end of our time today. So Ellie, on behalf of all of our engagement partners, I want to thank you again for participating in this conversation. It was great to give the La Crosse voters an opportunity to meet you, and we wish you luck on Election Day.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.